Hello and welcome to the Scarf Bagara War with me, Russ Johnson. We're doing an opposition preview, playoff special. We've got Steve from the Orient Outlook podcast. You okay, mate?
All good. Thank you, Russ. Thanks for having us. What a time to be alive. Stockport Orient in the playoffs.
Hey, tell me about it. Two proper clubs. I always feel like Leyton Orient are a proper club from the south because you got kind of similar to us. And I probably said this before, but you're obviously surrounded by a lot of big clubs, and all the kids can go to those clubs and even support them from afar. We're the same, so yeah, I think we've got that in common, haven't we?
Yeah, we certainly have. And I was talking about Stockport actually. Our end of season awards on Sunday. I've never been to Edgeley Park. I'm making my Edgeley Park debut on Wednesday, and I was like, to me, having never been, it seems like a similar ground to Brisbane Road, where you're quite close to the touchlines. You can feel it, and I'm just expecting an incredible atmosphere for both games. So yeah, very similar clubs. You're absolutely right. You know, we've got West Ham literally one stop away on the central line with a 70,000 seater stadium. Tottenham, Arsenal, you name it, they're around us. So yeah, very proper club. I would totally agree with that, Russ.
Yeah, nice one. How are you feeling about the whole playoff experience? I tell you what, tell us how you're feeling and what's it been like into the run up on it, because you've had a really good run of form, haven't you?
Yeah, I had a really good run of form. We kind of hit a really good run of form. Got some really big results. Like we went away to Wrexham and won 2-1, and we were kind of flirting with it, a bit similar to what we'd done last season. And we kind of fell away last season around March, April, and we kind of maintained that. And we went away to Birmingham. I think back in late Feb, whatever it was, mid Feb, and we had a player sent off after 10 minutes. I think everyone's had a player sent off against Birmingham this season. When you go to St Andrews, we had a player sent off. We lost the game 2-0, and we kind of went on this 5-match losing streak. And from being around 6th, went to about 10th, and you're like, I think we've blown it now, but we've done all right, haven't we? And then after that, we kind of found our way again and found a bit of form, and then kind of got back into around 6th or 5th. And then we had Charlton Athletic come to us, big game. We were above them, and we were 1-0 up. They basically got 2 corners in like the 95th and 96th minute, both towards the back post, scored both. And that's it to reinvigorate Charlton's season. From then, they went on an upward curve. We went a bit down again, went to kind of Burton and lost 2-1. And you're thinking, well, it's not going to happen now. But then over the last kind of 4 or 5 weeks, we've gone on this amazing run where we have not just kind of beat teams, we've absolutely comprehensively, I would say, battered teams and had some really great results, some great individual goals, some great team goals, and confidence is sky high. And got to the point where, you know, if we beat Wickham, it would be in our own hands, and we've done that in our final home game this season, beat them 1-0, and what was a tight game, but I think we totally deserved that one. And then went away to Huddersfield, knowing that if we matched Reading's result, we would make the playoffs. And after 2 minutes, went 1-0 up. And from being what could have been a very nervy, horrible final game of the season, was actually the most straightforward game you would ever want for the final. We'll just kind of standing there when the final whistle went. It was like so anticlimactic. You know, you weren't listening to what was going on at Reading. You weren't kind of looking at your watch. It was kind of a really enjoyable final day experience, which as a Leyton Orient fan, you don't normally have those. So it's amazing. What the thing for me, right, is that before my birthday, a couple of weeks before my birthday, my wife said to me, what are you doing on the 3rd of March? Because we were looking to go away for a spa weekend, right? And I looked at the table back then and I said, we can go for a spa weekend. I was like, Orient will have nothing to play for. We're 10th. And as the weeks have gone by, I've kind of had my eye on the 3rd of May, seeing us climbing up the table. And after we beat Wickham, we were out with actually my co-host and his wife. And my co-host was going, I can't wait for Huddersfield. And I could feel my wife looking at me. And she said, do you need to go to Huddersfield next Saturday? And I was like, yes, the planets have aligned. Can we rearrange the spa? We managed to do that. So yeah, it's come really out of nowhere, which is why I feel that our fan base is so kind of relaxed about it, because it's not been like an expectation and it's not been a pressurized season to get there. We've kind of hovered and flirted with it and have kind of got better as the weeks have gone on. So yeah, a very surreal kind of final couple of weeks of the season, but totally enjoyable. I think we had Barnsley at home. We were 3-1 down after 62 minutes, and we still thought we were going to win the game. And we scored like 3 goals in 6 minutes, which is probably one of the best atmospheres I've ever seen at Brisbane Road, and one of the most unbelievable kind of turns in the game that I've ever seen. So it's been a really enjoyable finale to the season. We've got players like Jamie Donnelly online from Tottenham, who has really come into his own since January, been an absolutely astounding player. It's been a pleasure to watch. Charlie Kelman on loan from QPR has got 25 goals this season. Has been a revelation, especially in the second half of the season. I think his stats, I think he's the highest scorer in the EFL in 2025 in terms of the calendar year. Some amazing individual performances, but collectively a real team spirit. It's been an absolute pleasure to watch this Leyton Orient team kind of blossom into the force they've become, and you can feel like the momentum gathering behind them. So a real enjoyable kind of end to the season. A very confident squad, a very confident fan base, but not one who are overconfident. We know how difficult Stockport County are going to be, and I was saying to you before we start recording, out of the 3 teams around, easily Stockport County were the best out of the 3 who played at Brisbane Road this season by an absolute country mile. Absolute country mile.
Yeah, I don't know why I've just got visions of you going out with your co-host and your wives. You two just talking about podcasting and Leyton Orient, and then your wives are just sat there completely bored out of their heads. Is that how it goes?
I mean, they've warmed to it now. I mean, after 390 episodes and 10 years, they're kind of used to it. I guess we know when to talk about football when we're out with the wives, and we know kind of when not to. But that was obviously following the Wickham game, and we kind of hung around. It's the final game of the season, and we were chatting to a few players, and everyone was like walking the opposite direction home. And I was like, "Where are you going?" And they were like, "We're going to get our Huddersfield tickets. Come on, it's going to be a great day. We're going to do it." And I was standing there like, "Oh, how am I going to broach this one?" But we got there in the end, and it was a great day. Huddersfield, highly recommend it as a kind of a League One stadium, and that is a Premier League ready. Obviously, they're there, but great stadium. It's the kind of stadium that Orient, I guess, at this point can only dream of. Like huge capacity, great kind of food and beer stalls outside the ground. A real enjoyable away day. And I'm glad I went as well. It was a great away following, and always nice when 4-1 away, especially on the final day of the season, knowing that the playoff place is at stake, and obviously getting the score from Reading when you hear Reading are 1-0 down and everyone's singing "We Love Barnsley" as well, which I never thought I'd be singing in an Orient terrace was quite the day. Quite the day.
Yeah. Didn't have that on your bingo card. So just going back to then, you feeling then, you said that we were possibly the toughest you could have got in the playoffs. How are you feeling going into Saturday's game then? And nervous? Are you apprehensive? Are you quietly confident?
I think I'm quietly confident over the 2 legs. I think we're better suited to playing away sometimes. And I think maybe having the second leg at Stockport might work to our advantage potentially, because once our home leg is done, and if we come out level, it's almost half time, and then it's basically a single cup final. And I think being away, it kind of might turn the pressure a little bit. The pressure might be away from us. So quietly confident. Like I said, the team have been amazing. It's been a pleasure to watch them. You've got these young players who show no fear on the pitch, like your Jamie Donnellys, your Josh Keelys, and then you've got your experienced heads like your Darren Prattleys and your Omar Beckles, who are keeping it all grounded and are organising the team. Recently, we've gone from a kind of a 4-2-3-1 formation, and due to necessity to having Jack Curry injured, he's gone to kind of a 3-5-2 or 5-3-2, like when you're defending. And that's made us look really solid at the back, but not kind of taken away any of our kind of attacking impetus. So really interesting. I don't quite know which way he's going to go. Richie kind of likes to keep everyone guessing. So you won't find out anything from Richie kind of in his post-match. It's not worth really watching kind of what he says post-match, because he can say so-and-so's injured, and they name the team lineup, and so-and-so who was injured will be like in that lineup. So you're always kind of second guessing what he might do. But the playoffs come at the right time for us. We've got a lot of players who are back from kind of injuries, who are now making the bench and getting kind of substitute appearances, which is really good. So keeping everyone guessing. But at the moment, I would say, I guess I'm more apprehensive about Saturday than what I am about going away on Wednesday as it stands. I think if we can give ourselves a shot, come out at that level, or still in the tie, I'd be quite confident going into Wednesday more than Saturday, if that makes any sense. That might sound a bit odd coming from a fan from a home perspective, but
no, it doesn't sound odd. It sounds a bit like you feel like you can't win it on Saturday, but you could probably lose it on Saturday in terms of the overall tie if things go completely wrong for you. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I think, you know, we're very good at home, but I think away it kind of suits our style a bit more. We're very quick on the break with players like Donnelly, Kelman, Adji. I mean, they absolutely obliterated the Huddersfield defence on Saturday with the counter attacks. 2 of the goals were just down to sensation. No, 3 of the goals, actually, to be fair, were all counter-attacking goals where 15 seconds before we're defending our box, quick breakaway, and we're up the pitch. So they kind of played into our hands a bit. But, I think it'd be very difficult to kind of use that same tactic against Stockport. But what Richie does is he won't kind of play to our strengths. He'll also look at what he feels is Stockport's weaknesses. So he might, whatever weakness he thinks he'll see, whether that's, the defence or midfield or wherever on the pitch, he will try and use that and suss them out. So it's not a kind of a one-size-fits-all. So he won't necessarily play what the strongest 11 for Orient will be on paper. It'll be kind of where he's analysing the Stockport team and going, right, where's a weakness and where can we kind of exploit that? So, you never know, kind of, like I said, who might line up. There might be a few surprises and you might have a few bigger players on the bench to come on and make an impact. Because essentially, like you said, it's not very likely the tie is going to be won over the 90 minutes on Saturday. It's going to be a 180-minute tie. So even though we might come out behind by a goal or up by a goal, you've still got another 90 minutes. And, that game will obviously be very different on Wednesday to the one that's played on Saturday. So really looking forward to it. The last playoff we had at Brisbane Road was back in the 2013-14 season against Peterborough in terms of the semi-final. And that is still looked back on with a huge amount of fond memories. We won that game 2-1, although that was a second leg tie, but that's gone down in our Orient folklore, and hoping Saturday goes the same way as that. But it'll be a cracking atmosphere. I think you've been to Brisbane Road before, like Edgeley Park. It only holds 9,200. There'll be 1,200 Stockport fans who will be there, be loving life, will be loud. Our stadium will be loud as it can be. You've got obviously on the corners, you've got the flats where I'm sure everyone will be out on their balconies watching it.
Yeah.
I just can't wait. It's going to be an absolutely awesome atmosphere. We were lucky enough to have Man City back in January, and that was probably the loudest I've heard Brisbane Road in a long time, even louder than what the playoffs was back in League One all those years ago. And I expect it to be very, very similar on Saturday. So no, can't wait. Just really looking forward to a great game of football. It's going to be a great advertisement for League One as well. Not only that as well, but Dave Challinor seems to have this connection with Orient. So he was at Fylde when we were in the National League. When Justin passed away, Dave Challinor managed against Justin in his last game for Orient in the National League trophy. And Challinor is actually, when Justin passed away, was really respectful. So I feel like Dave Challinor and Orient have got this weird connection going on. Great manager, seems like a really top bloke as well. And he'll know what to expect. I think, he's managed at Brisbane Road a few times now. So he will know kind of, it's not a big ground. We're going to get in your face. Orient are going to press hard. Crowd are going to be behind them. It's going to be an awesome game. It's going to be an incredible atmosphere on Saturday. Can't wait for it.
Yeah. We'll definitely be prepared. I can say that as a 100% definite. Well, to touch quickly on manager Richie Wellens. He's from this area, from the Manchester area. We're not Mancunian, we're Stockportian. Just put that out there. What's he like? What's he been like since he's been in? Because I think Challinor has played a lot of games against him, managerially. What's he like? Can he? You alluded to it before. Can he switch it up? And has he got Plan B, Plan C, Plan D?
Yeah, I mean, he's a very astute manager. Like I said, he'll look at the opposition and then name his team around that. And we've been critical at points by, on the podcast by saying, well, why not just go for it and name your strongest 11 and hit your opposition as hard as you can? But he doesn't think like that. He's a very analytical thinking manager. He actually doesn't go on the touchline much anymore. So you won't see him on the touchlines. That would basically be either Paul Terry or Alan McCormack, but I don't know how much you know, but Paul Terry, our assistant manager, got sent off on Saturday for obstructing a quick throw-in. So they haven't announced what his ban will be, but he won't be on the touchline on Saturday. But I imagine Wellens will be up in the gallery or actually on the balcony when it starts. And depending on how the game's going, he'll come down and get involved. But yeah, he likes to switch up his formation. So like I said, either be the 4-2-3-1 or the 3-5 or 5-3-2, which I think he'll leave everyone guessing for. And that won't surprise me a bit. And I think it wouldn't surprise me if some of our kind of informed players are named on the bench, because he'll see it's, like I said, like a 180-minute tie. And even if we win considerably, he won't see it as a one game. Whatever he says after post-match Saturday, he'll come out and say, it's half-time, it's not done yet. I think a classic example of Richie Wellens is, you see managers who get a win, and we've seen it. Nathan Jones was a prime example. Come to us, they win. All right, they won in the last minute. but celebrating like they won the Champions League with the fist pumps. And Richie Wellens has said he will not do that. The fans have tried to get him to do that. He's like, no, we haven't achieved anything. He's a complete winner. And we had our end of season awards. And again, another example of his mentality is that people were going up to him and saying, well, whatever happens on Saturday or Wednesday, it's been a great season and be proud of the playoffs. And he's like, no, that's not how you should look at it. You should look at it as we're in the playoffs. We have a chance to get to the championship. And if we don't get to the championship, then it's a failure because I haven't accomplished what I want to. So when you've got someone as, with the mentality, that winning mentality, it can only drive the team and the support and the fan base forward. And he's just got an absolute winning mentality. I mean, he came to a club 3.5 years ago who were down the bottom end of League Two. It's been an incredible rise that he's overseen at Leyton Orient, and he's got to be fully credited. I'm amazed that, you've got clubs like in our league, like your Huddersfields and your Boltons, who don't even appear to be sniffing around him. Cardiff City, why Cardiff City aren't looking at someone like Richie, who's done it on a tenth of the budget that Cardiff City will have, is absolutely, beyond me. Why go with like a new manager where Richie's only 45? He's not an old manager. He's been around a little while, but had success where he's been allowed to manage. So great manager. He'll definitely manage in the Championship at some point in the near future, hopefully with Leyton Orient. But if not, you've got to kind of take it on the chin and wish him the best wherever he goes. But he's done an absolutely incredible job for us at Leyton Orient. Sometimes can tell it like it is. Not afraid to have a pop at the fans when needs be. Obviously, like you said, up from kind of your neck of the woods, sometimes can be. We've had him on the podcast. Can be quite confrontational. I think it's fair to say. At points, we've said a few things on the pod he did not agree with, and we've been interviewing him, and he's come out and said, "Well, I didn't like what you said on the podcast earlier. Like, why is that? What are you talking about?" And not afraid to call a spade, I guess, in that respect. So you never quite know where he's going to take you, but fantastic job. Would think the world of him, and completely deserves to be where he is, and deserves a shot at a much bigger club, I think it's fair to say. And when that happens, we can only kind of bid him a fond farewell. But big opportunity for Richie. If he gets Orient into the Championship on a shoestring budget compared to some of the other teams in League One, his stock will never have been higher. But no, great manager, absolute great manager, not only tactically, but man managing as well. Whenever you speak to any of the players on the podcast, or even kind of the management team, they all speak about kind of what a man manager he is as well as being a superb tactical manager. So absolutely phenomenal manager. Great job he's done at the Orient.
Yeah, no, it looks like he's doing a good job. Yeah, we've got a saying for people like Richie up here, and it's called he's mouthy. So just say that to him next time. He's a bit mouthy. No, good stuff. I just wanted to finally touch on players. You've mentioned Donnelly, you've mentioned Kelman. I was surprised to learn those were both on loan. Who else has stood out for you? Maybe one that County fans won't really know the name of, but you know that you can get a 7 or an 8, maybe a 9 out of them each week.
I think there's been a few. I think Omar Beckles this season, centre-back, who was probably fourth choice centre-back when the season started, has really had his best season at Orient in the 3 years that he's been here. He's been an absolute mountain at the back, and his influence and his calmness has really kind of steadied the ship forward. So I think Beckles is going to be a big test for Watton to get past. I think when we played you, I think Beckles was missing, and I think Watton kind of exploited kind of at the weakness in our defence. I think these two legs, I think Beckles is going to be a very different proposition from set pieces for Stockport and playing against such a threat as Watton as well. So I think Beckles is one to watch. And Ethan Galbraith, who is a central midfielder, been playing right back, has been an absolutely man-mountain as well. Created the 4th goal away to Huddersfield. We rejected a £1 million offer for him from Swansea in January. And there's no doubt, again, in my mind, that he will probably move on at some point. Hopefully not this summer if we can make it into the Championship. But he's always a solid 8 or 9. And Richie said he likes playing him at right back because he gets more of the ball in the right back position than what he does in the central midfield and can influence the game more. So those two players are kind of like the unsung heroes, I feel, of the Orient team, because your Donnellys, your Kelmans and your Adjis will score the goals and take all the credit. But I think those two players at the back pushing us forward should deserve a huge amount of credit. Might be ones to watch on the team sheet who could really cause Stockport a few problems. And I think Galbraith has scored on his last 2 visits to Edgeley Park. I think he scored this season. I think he scored a double last season as well. So well known from those parts of the wood. And we actually got him on a free transfer from Man United. So it's not too often you can say you've got an ex-Man United player in your ranks at Leyton Orient. So yeah, I'd say Galbraith and Beckles definitely.
Yeah, well, getting a free from Man United, that's almost a championship player anyway, isn't it? So, good stuff. Yeah, finally. So you said before you think it's probably going to go over the 2 legs. It's going to, you're backing yourselves at Edgeley Park more than maybe at Brisbane Road. I still call it. Is it still called Brisbane Road? That's what I call it.
The supporters call it Brisbane Road. There are sponsorship deals in place, but we aren't, sponsored by the club. So it will always be Brisbane Road to us, essentially.
Yeah, fair. It's always been Brisbane Road to me as well. So yeah, just finally then, anyone from our squad or team that sort of scares the life out of you? Obviously, Louis Barry's gone now. Everybody mentions Louis Barry. Whenever I go on any podcast, they mention it. He's gone now. Is there anybody you're sort of fearful from our perspective?
I think Watton really bullied our defence last time we played. I think is Ajayi.
You thinking of Tanto Alafi?
Alafi, that's it. Alafi, again, really good player. I see a lot of goals coming from your midfield whenever I watch the EFL show, which scares me a little bit, if I'm brutally honest. I saw Jack Diamond put away a lovely finish. So no one in particular from your midfield, no one who stands out being on the spot. But I do think the front 2 will have, when I seen them against us, caused us a lot of problems. So apprehensive, especially about Watton, because I say he just was one of the best forwards I'd seen in League One. Hoping Omar and Reg are other centre back, and maybe even Brandon Cooper can keep him quiet. And that's why I think he probably will go 5 at the back, because I feel that he went 5 at the back against Wycombe because they play with a front 2, and we managed to keep Kone and his strike partner quiet, which is why I think it might be 5 at the back on Saturday. But we'll see. But yeah, again, no names spring to mind from your midfield. I'm sure as soon as you say them, I'll be like, oh yeah, of course, those guys. But yeah, the front 2 do scare me, do make me apprehensive.
Yeah. Wootton, interestingly, Wootton gets a lot of pelters from our fans, from a section of our fans, that he's not good enough, but he's just been named in the EFL League One team of the season. So, what do fans know? What do fans know? Brilliant. Steve, thank you so much. It's usually at this point in a podcast, an opposition preview, I say good luck. And I say good luck after Saturday. I'm not going to say that. What I'll say is, may the best team win, and whoever gets to Wembley, let's hope that the eventual winners come from these 2 teams. Let's just say.
I was just about to say, Russ, if not Orient, definitely Stockport. You've been down there with us. You know what the National League is all about. It's been great to see your rise through the divisions as well, right? So Wrexham will get the headlines, as they always do. And fair play to Wrexham. I've got no problem with Wrexham. They deserved it. The table never lies, right? But Stockport have been like the unsung heroes alongside it, right? Because you matched them and you won the league, actually, didn't you? Last season. And not for Wrexham, you probably would have gone up automatically. So proper club, like you said. There's lots of similarities between Orient and Stockport. We love Challoner. Again, Challoner completely showed his class as a man when Justin passed away. So if not Orient, Russ, go on the county for the final if you make it.
And the feeling's reciprocal. Nice one.
Absolutely.
Cheers, Steve. Speak to you soon. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.